What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the FF Ballbusters podcast. Today is Friday, March 24th. My name is Will, and joining me is my co-host Eric. How you doing today, dog?
I am doing great this morning. Glad to be here. Glad to get into some roster reviews today for two more of our subscribers.
Absolutely. Like Eric said, we got 2 roster reviews today. Going to be getting through them, giving you guys some advice. Hopefully, the people who are watching this isn't your rosters. You guys can also get something out of this as well. But before we start, we do have one thing we want to tell you guys.
Yeah, we got a promo to get into, a partnership that we're really excited about with the fantasy sports site called Dynasty Owner. They are the future of fantasy sports and the closest that you can get to the feeling of being a real-life NFL GM. Dynasty Owner has a patent on using real NFL salaries, which means off-season moves matter even more. And if you're a savvy enough Dynasty manager, which hopefully if you watch our channel you are, you can even make some money off of this site. If you join a paid league, you can get a payout for placing in the top 4, and you can also build a dominant Dynasty roster over time that you can then sell for a profit on the Dynasty Owner marketplace. If that sounds interesting to you, go on over to dynastyowner.com and use our promo code BALLBUSTERS for $10 off when you sign up. That's promo code BALLBUSTERS for $10 off when you sign up at dynastyowner.com.
Yes, sir. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump right into these roster reviews. First one we got up is Connor Rigg. For the settings, we don't exactly have the league format. We don't know how many players are getting played. As of the settings, we do know it is a Superflex tight end premium PPR league. We're not sure how many wide receivers, flexes, stuff of that nature. So if we did, it may tailor the things that we say a little bit. For the most part, according to this roster, we kind of have a good game plan for what this is. So, Eric, you want to jump in and list off the players on this team?
Yeah, so this is a God squad. Connor, I know that you're just putting this on here so that we can give you a little bit of praise, shout you out on the YouTube channel, but it's all right. We'll do it. You got Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson at the quarterback position to go along with Tyler Huntley, Gardner Minshew, and Andy Dalton for depth. At the running back position, you have Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall, all guys that are in conversation for that kind of top tier of running backs, Jerick McKinnon and Gus Edwards as well. Wide receiver, you have Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Calvin Ridley, and Nico Collins. And at tight end, you have Kyle Pitts and Peyton Hendershot. But, I mean, we're talking about the number one at basically every position.
And let's keep in mind, if he has draft picks as well going into this season, he has the 101, the 105, the 212, the 302, and the 312. So to say he's still got a very good draft ahead of him would be an understatement as well. So
yeah, and notes from him directly. He says, "I'm planning to draft Bijan at the 101, so he's going to add that to an already incredibly stacked running back room. And at the 105, he's hoping to get one of JSN, Jahmyr Gibbs, or Anthony Richardson."
So when it comes to ideas for your team, me and Eric had a conversation. We always talk for a good 30, 40 minutes before we start recording, and when it came to, options we could give you for your team, one thing we fell on was like, oh, maybe he could trade a running back to try to get depth, but it's like depth where? Because you got a very good team all around. The only position we feel like needs to be shored up in any way, shape, form, or fashion is the tight end position, because Kyle Pitts so far, we know the prospect that he is, we know the player that he is, we know just what Kyle Pitts could be, but he just hasn't been that yet. He's been a little bit of wasted potential over there. Peyton Hendershot is a guy I had to remember who he was, so not exactly the best tight end group that you have in terms of getting someone that's a little bit more stable. That is something you could do, but there's also a good amount of tight ends in this draft coming up that you could get with the picks that you have.
Yeah, so I don't want us to act like we're trashing Kyle Pitts too much, because I think we both agree. I think we have him as the tight end 1 in Dynasty. We love Kyle Pitts. We know what he can be. But like you said, he hasn't performed up to that level yet so far in his career. And if you're looking to make a run at a championship, you want guys that are producing now. So I think if we knew a little bit more about your roster settings, whether it was 2 or 3 flexes or 3 wide receivers or how deep you had to go, we could give you a little bit better of an idea. But let's say it's really deep, because I think that's the only way we're going to be able to give you ideas. A team as stacked as this.
Yeah, let's get deep. Let's get deep.
So if you have a bunch of flexes and you already have to start 3 wide receivers, then you might want to either add to your wide receiver depth or add another tight end in a tight end premium league where you can actually start them in a flex position. So like you said, he has the 212 that could turn into a guy that I think we're higher on than consensus in like a Sam Laporta. So you could use just straight up draft value what you have now. I tossed around the idea of maybe, like, since you're going to be bringing in Bijan, you could trade away one of your running backs, maybe Saquon, for like a late first and an early second or something like that. And then you could potentially, replace Saquon with like a Charbonnet or another running back, and then also be in the running for one of those top tight ends, whether that be Kincaid or Mayer, whoever you have up there. So that's kind of the idea for tight ends. So what do you think, Will? Do you like those ideas?
I do enjoy those ideas. And yeah, it's tough because in terms of like every other position, you're pretty solid. With quarterbacks, you have Mahomes and Lamar. And then even behind them, you got guys who are going to see the field at some point next year, I feel like. Between Huntley, we don't know if Lamar's going to come back to the Ravens. It's not looking great. Minshew, he's probably going to be the starter for the Colts, especially if they do end up drafting Anthony Richardson, someone that you're also planning on drafting in this draft.
Yeah.
So it's tough. But I do think those are good options. I think that is something you could do. But again, like Eric said, it kind of depends on how deep the well goes for you. But if you're picking up Bijan, you're shoring up the running back room even more. You could stand to give up one of those guys to shore up other positions.
Yeah. Again, if we're assuming that this is a deep league, start 3 wide receivers, multiple flexes and stuff like that. Typically, the advice that I would give for teams in that format is that you want to make sure you have tons of depth at wide receiver. Because typically your flexes are going to be filled with receivers and you already have to start 3 of them. You have 5 outstanding ones in Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Calvin Ridley. So like if you were starting all 5 of them, 3 wide receivers, 2 flexes, I would say maybe you need more depth on top of that. But you probably aren't, considering you have 3 great running backs now and you're going to bring in Bijan. So 2 of those guys are probably going to slide into your flex. Like there's not much that you need, brother. Like, you got it. This is a great team. Clearly, you're going to be competing for a championship. You already know that. So I don't know that I have that much more to say, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Just try to shore up the tight end position you can. Don't give up too much for a tight end because you really don't need to if you don't want to. You could draft a tight end and hope that rookie, starts to pan out a little bit, or hope that Kyle Pitts just takes off this year, which he very well could. But
yeah, I still believe in Pitts, so I'm willing to ride that out for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely okay with that too. So, Connor, great job building your team. We don't really have much to say, but hopefully we were able to help you out at least a little bit on this one. And yeah, with that being said, we're actually going to get into our next ad read. The next ad read, we have partnered with the Fantasy Football League winners. And as a part of that partnership, we are also partnered with Underdog Sports. So if you click the link that's down in the description below, Underdog Sports, if you are a first-time user, will match your first deposit up to $100. So if you deposit 20, they'll give you 20, 40, they'll give you 40, so on and so forth. And with that being said, you can also use our promo code FFLW to get yourself that deposit match if you're a first-time user, once again, on Underdog Sports. So click the link in the description below or use promo code FFLW. Remember to gamble responsibly and try to have some fun with it.
Hell yeah. Good ad read. Love that. Love Underdog. For there, support us and support them. Let's get into our next roster review here with JRich829. Thank you for submitting your roster. The settings here, we have a 12-man league. It's a single quarterback, not a super flex. 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 flex is the starting lineup. So would you like to walk us through who he has at these positions?
Yep. At the quarterback position, he has Patrick Mahomes, seen a lot of Mahomes today. Jimmy Garoppolo and Malik Willis. At the running back spot, he's got a lot of them. We got Breece Hall, Saquon, DeAndre Swift, Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad White. And then we got a lot of other guys that are sort of filling in the spots. Antonio Gibson, Cam Akers. We'll get into more of those. You'll see them listed below for sure. At the wide receiver spot, we got T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, Jamison Williams, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, and then a couple guys to shore up the bench. And then tight end, we've got Kyle Pitts, Darren Waller, and James Mitchell. And notes from JRich, he has the call is to trade a running back, but for who and for what type of wide receiver?
Yeah, so again, great team. I think there is a little bit more for us to work with here, where we can actually provide some insight and advice. But I do think, especially in a 1 quarterback league, you are ready to compete now. And I think you're spot on with saying that the call is to trade a running back. You are stacked at running back. You have so much depth there. I would definitely be looking to transition some of that running back value into a wide receiver, and especially in your format where it's start 3 wide receivers and an additional flex. So I'll toss to you first. I have some ideas on ways he can do that, but Will, if you have anything in mind, I'll let you go ahead.
No, I'm looking at so guys, we have notes that are written on these, and I didn't really take a good look at them before we started. So the first thought that I had is literally the note that Eric has written here. So I think it's best if we just jump in with that, and I'll let you read it off because it's your note.
All right, fair enough. So Rachaad White is a guy that I think we've talked about in previous videos where, I like his talent, but I think he's probably at peak value right now where Leonard Fournette has been released. He is the running back 1 as of right now. I do expect the team to bring in more running backs, maybe to draft one, maybe to sign one in free agency. I don't think that Rachaad White is going to be given this backfield entirely to himself, but that hasn't happened yet. So I think max value is right now. I like the idea of turning him into like Rachaad White plus, so maybe like a late second, maybe early third, something like that, into like a Treylon Burks or a Brandon Ayuk, somebody in that range. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love Brandon Ayuk, especially, you guys know, if you've been watching these videos for a while, I was big on Brandon Ayuk last year. I'm big on him this year. I think he's the best wide receiver on the 49ers. You know, Debo, Debo's a better football player. I think Brandon Ayuk is the better receiver on that side, and I think he's going to get that treatment going forward. As for, trying to get Treylon Burks, he's somebody that people have been talking about a lot this year that's undervalued, mainly because the Titans, the outlook for them is weird, but Treylon Burks himself as a player and the stuff that he's shown us so far, it's indicative of nothing than him being the number 1 out there in Tennessee as of right now. So the value that you could give up for a Treylon Burks and get in return could way outweigh a Rachaad White at this point, because he is the starter for right now, but like Eric said, I'm pretty sure they're going to bring someone in. So far, they brought in, I think, Chase Edmonds this offseason.
I'm not worried about Chase, but
I'm not worried about him at all. But I am worried that somebody like a Bijan could land there, because right now, nobody knows where Bijan is going to land at. And if he lands there with Tampa Bay, you better believe Rachaad White is not going to see the field too much. So
yeah, I've already seen a couple of mocks from reputable sources that have had Bijan there. I could certainly see them taking, a swing at a day 2 guy, whether that be a Charbonnet or a Kendre Miller or something like that, to provide kind of that 1-2 down thumper to Rachaad White's receiving role.
Yeah, and those are 2 guys I still think, even if they were to get the receiving, where I think they're better running backs than Rachaad White. So
yeah.
But like Eric said, his value right now is peaking. Someone else I would also take a look at trading. Eric has as a second one, DeAndre Swift. His role in Detroit is, for the, I guess, least amount of words, worrisome. I guess at this point they've shown us how they want to use DeAndre Swift. So, a lot of us want to say, at some point he's the better running back. He's going to get the value. He's going to get the role. This is year 4. I don't think we're going to get anything different than what we've seen at this point, especially in Detroit. Now, maybe if his situation were to change, he was with a different team, possibly. But the way I've gotten to know DeAndre Swift in the league is that he's a glass cannon. He's one of those guys who's going to be out on the field and he's going to ball when he is there, but who knows how often he's going to be out there on the field. And it's unfortunate, but from a fantasy perspective, I wouldn't really want that guy on my team, and I'm sure there's someone out there who's going to value him pretty high. So you want me to just go ahead and read through this one right here?
Sure, yeah.
So the trade that Eric has here is Swift for Hollywood, 1-for-1 swap, which I could very well see happening. There's people that are definitely going to value Swift that high. Hollywood Brown in a great situation over with the Cardinals, as we saw last year when he was playing and he wasn't injured. Kyler Murray did favor him a lot, did like throwing on the ball a lot. And DeAndre Hopkins is going to be out of there soon, so that 1A or 1 role is going to be just freed up for him. And then another option is maybe Swift plus a late third and Isaiah Hodgins for the 108, and try to get like one of those high-tier wide receiver prospects we got, maybe Quentin Johnson if he's available at the 108. We've seen a lot of mocks where he's going that late. There's also a lot of people who could be going later, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, people that are going to get that draft capital possibly. Do you have any thoughts on this one right here?
Yeah, just more so on Swift himself. I think JRich, you probably are already in this boat because you were talking about trading away running backs, but just more so on the Swift situation. David Montgomery comes in. He's more of a dangerous pass catcher than Jamal Williams was. He might eat into that role even more.
Yeah.
I think the Lions know that DeAndre Swift is extremely talented. I think they like him. It's just he hasn't proven to be able to stay healthy, and he's a really explosive running back that, given space and stuff like that, is going to be great at breaking tackles, creating more yards than would the average running back. But in terms of just his vision, like going up to the line of scrimmage, running in between the tackles, he's not super consistent at that. He's not going to pick up the tough yards that you need time in and time out. And so I think from an NFL perspective, it makes sense that you wouldn't want to hand the keys to a guy like that. And so, yeah, I expect his role to continue to be the same. I think Hollywood Brown is undervalued. He's a guy that I like a lot. I think, trying to do Swift plus a little bit extra on top to get into, that kind of middle tier of the first round, whether it be a Quentin Johnston, a Jordan Addison, even if you wanted to bring in another running back like a Charbonnet or something like that, I think that might even be an upgrade at this point.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. As for the other position groups that you've got here, everything else looks pretty shored up. Tight end looks good because you got Kyle Pitts, great potential there. Darren Waller should do well this year. Eric's got me more on the boat that, Darren Waller's he's primed to have a good season. The roster's looking a lot like his breakout year with the Raiders, honestly, where he was sort of the top tier option and they had a lot of filler people in at wide receiver. So, it's encouraging, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, I don't have anything specific for this. Those were kind of our more in-depth notes. In looking at it even more, like maybe you could even package together a couple of these running backs, like a Swift and Rachaad White, to move to an even higher tier of receiver. Because you have T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, who I like a lot, but like if you wanted to get into that true upper echelon, like a CD, AJ Brown or something like that, you might be able to do it with like two of those running backs and maybe another pick on top or something like that. I wouldn't mind doing something like that either.
Yeah, I think that's another great option if you want to trade for someone who's just already in the league as well with that high ceiling.
Yeah. But I think that's all I got for JRich. I think you're spot on in that you need to transition some of that running back value and talent into your wide receiver core, and that's going to give you a team that can contend now and hopefully into the future. You got a lot of good young guys here to build your dynasty around.
Absolutely. You got some good depth as well. So, honestly, I think you're going to be all right. Just make some small tweaks. But again, this is another really good team. So, again, congratulations. Good work on building your team. And hopefully you're very competitive this year. So, hopefully this video could help you out a little bit. And with that being said, Eric, you got anything else for the people?
We got one more promo to plug. Our boy Zay has the brand Do Numbers. We've advertised it a couple of videos. But he's got all sorts of merch and apparel, whether it be, hoodies, t-shirts, all sorts of good stuff like that. If the link will be listed down in the description below, it's snacks.online. But if you go to that site, you can use our promo code FFBallbusters15 for 15% off your order. So go support us, support the channel, and support our friend Zay over there at Do Numbers.
Hell yeah. And with that being said, if you guys made it this far into the video, make sure you guys do all that great YouTube stuff. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when we drop our latest videos. Make sure you guys comment. We love the engagement we've been getting in the comments, but make sure you guys keep on doing that. It helps us grow, helps more people get more involved because, nobody wants to be the first person to comment. Come on, guys, but I know you do. I know
everybody does. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, also, join the Discord. I forgot to say that. Join the Discord. We'll be getting a ton of good engagement. A lot of people have been joining that. A lot of really smart Dynasty people, too. Like, you guys are looking for advice from us, but honestly, I think you could jump into our Discord and ask questions from the other fans that we have in there and get a lot of really valuable advice. So go check that out as well.
Absolutely. People in there, very knowledgeable, very good at what they do. Yeah, and come be a part of the community. And also, make sure you guys leave a like on the video. It's free. Great way to help us grow. And yeah, if you made it this far into the video, we love you. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.